Baba says, I am God, but he also loves God, and he also prays, and he bows, and he truly was God among us as one of us. And I just think that's so beautiful. And I know that love for God, that real treasure, makes the hotel and any treasure here on earth pale in comparison. I mean, Baba talks about that with even the what is it? I guess sex is the greatest pleasure on earth, maybe, I think he says, and it pales.
Sex.
It's a shadow of the bliss of God.
Yeah, that's right.
Beautiful.
That's right. We know Baba's favorite poet, according to Baba himself, was Hafiz of Shiraz, a fellow Persian. You know, many people don't realize that Baba was Persian. They think he was Indian, but they asked Baba, and he said, I am a Persian, when they asked him about his nationality. Even though he was born in Pune, India, he was thoroughly Persian in his, not just his family. I mean, his father was from Iran. His mother was Persian, but had been born in India. But they were part of the Irani community, and Baba's, culture was Persian, not Indian. So he talked quite a bit about the importance of Hafiz. So here we go. This is a Hafiz poem we found in the divan by my friend Izita, doing that falling where you open it and put your finger down. I'd asked her to do that in response to my question, which was, which poem should we translate next? And this is the poem we were given. We don't have a title for this. Most of the work of Hafiz was not titled, but we translated it as best we could. So here it is for Baba. That King of Kings, our beloved, is stealing the hearts of his lovers. One glance of his beauty enchanting them. Broken-hearted and intoxicated with love, they rush to his side. He joined my path and approached this dervish with his intoxicating presence, addressing me as Mashuk, his sweetheart among the inspired poets. He asked me, how much longer will you live alone like a poor fakir, when you can live abundantly just as my fortunate slave? If even that tiny speck, like a dervish, spins around the sun, don't sell yourself short. Love me, and you'll find yourself whirling towards the heart of the sun itself. Don't depend upon anything in this harsh world. Instead, pour into your chalice only gentle beauty and tenderness. That wine-bringer, peace be upon him and his family, admonished me then to stop associating with deceivers. Beholding the field of succulent red tulips, I wonder who was so cruel to break their pure hearts. So many martyrs drenched in blood. Hafiz answers his own question. You and I are not allowed to lift this shroud of secrecy. Remain focused on his love and the beauty of his luscious mouth. To escape from the antagonist, just hold tightly to the robe of Baba. Become the man of Yazdan and be protected from true evil, Ariman. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Wow. Oh. So much there. I love that
There's
part.
There's so much there.
I love that. Well, yeah, the broken hearts right off the beginning kind of got me. It's like once you fall in love, you realize how broken you are, and the mending begins, I guess. And then I love the part too about we're not allowed to lift the veil.
That's right.
And I think
Focus. Yeah, he says, He says, "You and I are not allowed to lift this shroud of secrecy. Remain focused on his love and the beauty of his luscious mouth."
Hmm. And his luscious mouth, the word. Um, I think about that a lot, and I know a lot of people were disappointed that Baba didn't break his silence, so to speak. But I think the longer you love Baba, the more you come to know what he's really referring to, which is how our ego, our separateness from God, is Baba's silence, and the breaking of Baba's silence is the lifting of the veil, and Baba becoming, you becoming one with God completely.
I think that's right. And we have it in the book too, for what it's worth here, if you want to hear it.
Yeah, please.
I'm inspired by what you're saying to share it. Many times at the top of a chapter in the book, not all the times, but many times, I will put a quote that I think is relevant. And so let me see if I can find it here for you. It's when the word of my love breaks out of its silence and speaks in your hearts, telling you who I really am, you will know that that is the real word you have always been longing to hear.
And I may be not. I may be talking a little off in the weeds here, but I think about the missing book, and then I think about the missing book also along with the quote of what Baba said about the book I will make people read will be the book of the heart. And sometimes I wonder if it's a little Baba trick about this missing book. Although I guess there is stories about some actual book being written in a chest and him telling him somebody was in there or something. But I'd have to do my research again on that. But I
did a ton of research on it. I have a 3-part article about it. But
oh, really?
We can do that in another session.
Okay, cool. I want to hear about that. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing Baba said about his missing book and why I don't believe it's been released yet. He said the book that he wrote with his own hand is so powerful that if you read it, it would take away your longing to get closer to God.
Oh, wow.
So I think he's going to release it at the right time, and it will be when humanity's ready to receive it. Obviously, if you look around, this isn't such a great time for releasing that book.
Yeah. Well, I love, too, the necessity of the longing for God that Baba continually points to. That longing is why I came to Baba to begin with, is why I didn't even know who Baba was, is why I sought God in the beginning as a child when I was sitting there, without a father, without some answers. And, when I started praying as a kid, I was only maybe by this time 13, 14 years old. And I consider myself, trying not to let this go to my head, but I mean, I have been gifted with a fair amount of intuition, and I was very discerning about God at first, and I wasn't sure about God for about a year. Then I started getting these really, really definitive answers. I don't remember them specifically, but I remember them being very accurate and very much I was attuned to God, and I was having communication and entering into that state every night. And then and that all came through this longing. And a couple of things that have really just I've had a lot of light shed on these things as I've gotten older. Is one is I didn't want to be here in this world anymore, and it wasn't a suicidal not wanting to be here. I didn't want to kill myself or anything, but I just didn't feel right about being here. and then I kind of knew that I was going to have to become okay with being here. And the being here was a big part of the key. That's something I've learned as I've gotten older. But what I was kind of getting at is, then I said to God one night, it just kind of came over me, and I'm getting these yes, no type responses from the universe, if you will, or God, really. And I say, it felt very audacious, but I said, am I the second coming of Christ?
Right.
And silence, crickets.
Yeah.
And I remember this feeling. It wasn't a yes and it wasn't a no.
Right.
And it was the big surprise. It was almost like the child starting to peel away the corner of his Christmas gift under the tree, and the dad saying, hey, hold off, let's wait till Christmas Day. So yeah.
Well, and that reminds me of what Baba said about all that, because the not yes and not no is connected to, I think, this story where Baba talked a lot about his manifestation, and then he said, but I only manifest in those hearts in which everything other than me ceases to live. And it's like that. I might be paraphrasing a bit, but I think that's pretty darn close. And it's like that. The awakening and the manifestation of Baba. There's the physical manifestation, him as Merwan Esarani, who became Meher Baba. But then there's the spiritual manifestation, which is, he said it, within the hearts of his lovers. That's no joke. That's what I think you're talking about.
Yeah, and then yes, and we're the temple of God. I love too the illusion that sustains reality.
Yeah, I gotta tell you something about that. That wasn't Baba.
Oh, really?
Right.
Interesting.
Baba didn't write that. Don explained that. So, Baba sent the manuscript for God Speaks to Ivy Deuce and Don Stevens to edit, and there was actually two manuscripts in the box. One was the notes that Baba had dictated to his disciple, Dr. Abdul Ghani Munsif, and the second was the dictation to Erich, which is the first 8 chapters of God Speaks. Erich was then asked to write a 9th and a summary. So Erich wrote the 9th chapter in the summary. And so the 8 chapters were given to Don Stevens for editing. Ivy Deuce said she wanted to edit the Ghani material. And then when it was all ready to go to publication, Ivy Deuce wrote that dedication about the universe which sustains reality and all that. That's Ivy Deuce.
The illusion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was Ivy Deuce.
Isn't that on the back of God Speaks in that passage?
I don't believe so. I think it's the dedication.
Okay, that's right. That is very, very interesting. So it may not necessarily be entirely accurate.
Right. This is what happens when you spend a lot of time with Don Stevens, is you start to find out all these things that you didn't know. And one of the things you find out is there's a lot that we don't know about Meher Baba and about how this all came together. I learned a ton from Don about how Baba operated. And Baba was extraordinarily human. And I say that with all due respect. Baba was human in the sense that, of course, he was the avatar and God in human form. But he could get hurt. He could have his feelings hurt. He could get upset. Don told me many stories where, Baba would explain to him, Don, we're both here in the creation, so don't treat me like the avatar and I know everything and I'm somewhere else. I'm here with you, and the things that Baba would say to Don, I mean, we could spend a whole session just on what Baba said to Don. It would make your head spin. It was unbelievable and so beautiful and so, like I'm saying, down to earth, human, real. Like, but just to give you an example, when Don would approach Baba when he would come to Meherzad or Mehrabad, one of the first things Baba would say is, Don, you've traveled a long way to come here. When's the last time you used the bathroom? And, Don would say, well, Baba, it has been quite a while, and, travel's hard on my digestion. And Baba would say to one of the Mandali, and they'd bring a laxative for him to drink. It wasn't all sanskaras and self-realization. Baba was very real and natural and honest and man to man. It was man to man. It wasn't master to disciple. I mean, sure, there was things that were spiritual master stuff, but that wasn't the majority. Don said to me, Little Bear, it wasn't like you hear, Baba giving orders to people and all this kind. It wasn't like that. He said, of course Baba gave orders and all that, but that wasn't how it felt. It wasn't like you were walking into that. It was more like you'd walk in and Baba was playing cards, and he'd say, oh, good, Don, we're playing. Come join us. It was more like that. And it was very natural is a great word for it. Very natural. And it wasn't meditation, and it wasn't repeating God's name, and it wasn't orders and master and this and that. It was, they were in a relationship. It was a relationship. Another one that comes to mind, and I know we're probably running out of time here, but I'll tell you because I get inspired by some of this.
Love it.
The story that Mara told, because Mara was with Baba through all this. Mara said that one January 14th, Baba took off his sadra, and handed it to Mara. And said to Mara, keep this until the next visit from Don. And so Don came, of course, and eventually back to Mehrabad and Meherzad. And Mara came because Baba had asked her to, with the sadra, and said, Don, Baba asked me to give you this. He took this off on January 14th, and of course that was Don's birthday.
Wow.
Things like that, where
so thoughtful.
The Christ is on earth, and he takes off his robe on his disciple's birthday to give it as a gift. Things like that. Where you're just like,
yeah. We didn't even talk about Mara. We're going to have to get to that on another occasion, too. I'm really looking forward to that. Was it in your book that I read recently? Someone asked Baba, I'm going to maybe paraphrase a little bit, but it said, what's the most difficult thing about spirituality? And he said,
perfectly human.
Being perfectly human, yeah. And to hear you speak of him in this way really reminds me of that. And it's
my friend Lyn Ott, he was with Baba in India. And Lyn was, he had retinitis pigmentosa. So at the time he went to visit Baba in India, this would have been in the 60s, he could only see about the size of a quarter, and he would have to rove with his sight like that to see what he was trying to look at. And because that's the way retinitis pigmentosa, it's a progressive tunnel vision. And so Mani took a film of Baba meeting Lyn and Lyn meeting Baba, and Lyn said if Mani hadn't been taking the film with the light shining on Baba, he wouldn't have been able to see Baba's face, but because of the light and the film, he was able to see Baba's face. It's one of the last things he saw. And Baba reached over and felt Lyn's face, so lovingly, and then Baba looked at him and said, Lyn, did you shave this morning? And Lyn said, yeah, I shaved, and Baba joked, and he said, well, you didn't do a very good job, and then and then talk about human. And then Baba said to Lyn, here, and grabbed his hand because he was blind, and said, here, feel Baba's face. And Lyn said it was like feeling a baby's bottom. It was so soft and so smooth, because Baba took very, very good care of his shaving, and very mindfully shaving. And Lyn said, well, Baba, I guess I never thought of God shaving before. And Baba's response was, Lyn, I'm more human than you are.
Oh, wow. It gives us so much hope too for our own lives, where we don't have to get all lost in this in the beyond. That he just brings that home so much, and how much our egos actually remove us from our humanity, and how we're seeing that manifesting in the world today. There's so much inhumane activity, and
That's right.
It's for that very reason. That's beautiful. Laurent, thank you so much for your time today. Jai
Brother.
Baba.
Jai Baba.
That was so beautiful. I look forward to much, much more. And
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. Avatar Mer Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar Mer Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar Mer Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Mer Baba Ki Jai.